Joining me on the line is Emma Twaddle from St Albans. Good evening to you, Emma.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You've just received a Community Service Award. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so it was very nice to receive an award for my work that I've done in the St Albans area through the St Albans Residents Association over the past about 18 years.
It's a long time, isn't it? Because I've been living in St Albans for quite a while, and I'm familiar with you. I think you've been editor of the community newspaper for a long time, haven't you?
Well, I'm not actually editor.
Ah, right.
I'm chairperson of the St Albans Residents Association, and
Ah,
the St Albans News is one of the projects that we do.
so yeah, but
So
you do a regular column, is that right?
yes, I do a chair chat in there, and I've done, I write quite often on particular issues in the community as well in there. So
As you've
yeah,
just
but
pointed out, you've been doing this for a long time, but I imagine the earthquakes really galvanised you into action.
oh, absolutely. So I was a member of the St Albans Residents Association committee up until 2010. And then following the earthquakes, we were running the St Albans Community Centre, and that fell down. And we also had a bit of a disagreement with City Council at that time as well. So the current chairs stood down, and I took the chair position then, and basically have sort of led Sarah through a very turbulent time up until 2019.
Were you in the old library building, the old
Yes,
stone-looking one? And
yes.
that was earthquake damage, and that was demolished, was it?
It was, yeah. So 1989 that started when the council closed the library on that site. And at the time, the community had just overturned the Northern Arterial project. Or sorry, it was the Northern Motorway, different name. And there had been very little council money put into the area over the previous 30 years. So Sarah actually got some funding to get a community coordinator, and the community coordinator was working from the old library. And so, of course, having a person in it, it sort of developed and became, over the course of the next 13 years, became a very well used community centre.
You've
So
just mentioned the arterial route. It seems to me that the roading decision was made without any consultation at all, and as a community, you were just told to accept the consequences.
very much so. It's been, well, in my view, it's been a very good example of how bad politics can be on people's lives. So, yeah, the project's been planned really only since 2010. I mean, there was things in the pipeline before then, but the real consultation and planning started in 2010. But all of the projects up until last year are finished at Innes Road. So everything that went through the Environment Court and everything else didn't include the St Albans section of the motorway, which to me is absolutely ridiculous because you can't plan a motorway, you can't plan a road into the city and stop it halfway.
What I mean, I've got an idea of what's going to happen, but from your point of view, how much is life in the suburb going to change?
Well, I mean, I look at the other side of town and the effect, you can see the effect of roads on the communities over there. So I think the effect's going to be bad. Um, I I think it's just outdated. I think what is being planned is so outdated and negative that actually it's just basically the biggest problem with it is it's a complete waste of taxpayers' money
Do
because
you think we should have used the train to bring some passengers in from the north?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. But unfortunately, because we're being told that this has to happen tomorrow. The planning of the trains is a little bit beyond tomorrow. Um, and we really need something for tomorrow. So the only way is to cut the single occupancy vehicles, which to be honest, shouldn't be rocket science.
Have you served on the community board?
No, but I have just put my hand up, to be honest. So I'm
Well,
going to
about
stand.
time, Emma. I mean, you've been very. Have you had
I
children
was
to look
just actually,
after?
yes, I do. I've got a 13-year-old who's got a sign in my face saying, "Talk about at Bob the Beetle," which I'm guessing is one of his pages. So go away, Benson. No, I have two children, Alice and Benson, they're 13 and 10. So
I mean, not that
they've
that should
been,
preclude you from community board. Of course, it shouldn't. But
it makes it more difficult, I can tell you that.
yeah, I'm sure it does. But the amount of work you've done, and I mean, you've had. I don't think you wanted it, but you've had high visibility in the community. I am really
Yes.
surprised that you're not already on the board.
Well, to be honest, I really dislike the political systems that we have. And I'm a bit of a fighter, so I've always felt that perhaps I wouldn't last very long. And also I've got a real belief in people and community doing things for themselves. So that's where I've put my efforts. You know, and where I enjoy that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy working in the community. So being involved in the political systems is not something that really appeals to me, but I now believe it's time that those systems, with the climate change emergency and everything coming on, I think that I need to use my knowledge of the last 20 years to, maybe even do a wee bit more.
I don't know if you know about this, but the Shirley community, the Shirley Community Centre was never really much of a building, but it completely disappeared, and nothing
Oh, it
has
was a
replaced
beautiful,
it.
it was a beautiful building. I
Nothing
used
has
to
replaced.
go to my antenatal classes in there, and I
Oh yeah,
loved
no, I may
it.
have got the wrong building, but I know the location, and there's nothing there
So
now.
no, there's nothing there. No, it was all pulled down. It was a beautiful old, I think it was brick. I think it was a brick building.
Mm-hmm.
It was an old schoolhouse, I think.
Oh right, yeah.
Huge. Yeah, yeah. There were a huge number of local community groups used it. And to be honest, my personal feeling on it, and I have stated this several times over the past 5 years at least, is that the money that was put into the St Albans Community Centre rebuild, which we had three buildings sitting there that we could have used. Give us a couple of 100,000, we could have done them up, and it would have been great for the next 10, 15 years. And I, put in my submission that the money for the St Albans Community Centre should have gone to the Shirley Community Centre for rebuild. It was, we had something at least that we could use, and they've got nothing.
I'm speaking with Emma Twaddle. She has been very active in the St Albans community for maybe about 20 years now. What happened to the swimming pool in Edgware?
Oh, now that's exciting. It's still rumbling away. They've just got the resource consent. Big fundraising mission is starting now. So yeah, and there's quite a lively group behind the projects. So it's looking fairly positive.
Yeah, that's been a long battle, that one, hasn't it? I mean, it's just
Oh,
dragged on and on, and
well, and that, yeah, it has dragged on and on.
lots of
And
column inches in your newspaper.
yes, yes, yeah, there has been a lot, but I think that shows the tenacity of the St Albans community. To be honest, I think we've worked as a community for a long time. I think in in the in the 1890s, I think it was, there was a St Albans men's political group started, and they used to have meetings of 200 odd people, and the idea behind it was the more wealthier folk believed that the working man needed to understand politics. So they started a group and taught them about politics and so forth, and I think that's continued through continued through the years in this community.
Now,
That we
reading your paper, I used to really enjoy the historical. There'd be like a drawing or a photograph of a particular
Yes,
house, and maybe a corner site sometimes, and you would talk about the history of the house and the families that lived there. Now, one of the
Yes.
local characters we've lost, sadly, is Graham Stanley, who was an
Oh, yes.
outstanding local historian, and he used to do his guided walks and what have you.
Yep.
Has anybody stepped forward to fill the shoes that Graham sort of had?
Not really, not as yet to fill his shoes in particular, but we do have a group of residents who meet every month, the St Albans History Group, and they are definitely have often have people, residents come in and talk to them about their family history and old photos and things like that. So it is happening and being recorded, but nothing, no walks or anything as yet. Though we did have Peggy's walk. Peggy Kelly, who has been around in the community for 50 years, she did a walk around St Albans for the Jane's Walks series that's recently been had in Christchurch.
I'm not sure, but I really encouraged Graham to do a book before he died.
Yeah,
And did he ever
yeah.
get round to doing one of his walks?
Not that I know of, not that I've heard of, no.
Oh, what a shame. Now, I did mention right at the
He
top
must
of
have,
this item that you won a community award. It was a
yes.
service award. Who gave it to you?
The Innis Papanui Community Board.
Okay, and how did it feel getting that recognition?
It's very nice. It's very nice, yes. And to me, it signifies that we have, between the council and the community, St Albans community, we've managed to mend many bridges and, working reasonably well together to find suitable solutions. Because, over the years I have caused some trouble, I would imagine, some people would say. And so it's nice that the positiveness of what I do is appreciated.
Well, long may the publication continue and your association
Absolutely.
with it. And
Yes,
I would
25 years.
I would
25
strongly
years.
support you in an effort to stand for the community board.
Oh, thank you very much. That's most appreciated.
Okay, Emma
So I'm hoping my work speaks for me.
Okay, Emma Twaddle from St Albans board. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you. And good night.
Good night to you.
Night.